struggling to market to your ideal clientele with old branding that worked for you years ago? This branding gap is playing a huge role in your current client conversion rate, and you may not even know it. We've heard it all before. My website doesn't matter that much, or I'll get to it eventually, but years go by and yet you're still asking the same question. Why am I still working the same weddings at the same price point with no growth? So what does your current brand and website say about you? Does your copy actually captivate your ideal clientele, or are they quickly closing your site and connecting with someone else? It's time to give your brand some pampering at the Creative Cabana, your all-inclusive strategy and design studio. With over a decade of experience as wedding vendors, their full-service team knows exactly how powerful great branding can be for your business growth. Whether you need a complete brand refresh or just a touch-up with services like website design, brand identity, or copywriting, they've got you covered. And for filmmakers out there, they also specialize in logo animations so that your film can feel that much more elevated. This is something I just invested in, and it's brought an entirely new look to my films. So you poured your heart and soul into your business. Now it's time for a brand that connects with your customers on every level. Visit their website today and use our discount code WGY300 for $300 off your first project at creativecabana.co. Welcome to the We Got You podcast, a network curated for wedding photographers and filmmakers that dives deep into the strategies and tactics to transitioning a side hustle in the wedding industry into a full-time, thriving career. We're your hosts, luxury wedding filmmaker Emma K. Films and luxury destination wedding photographer Hannah Brook Photography. It wasn't too long ago that we picked up our cameras for the first time, having absolutely no idea where it would lead us. Years later, we're traveling the globe for beautiful destination weddings, build our dream lifestyles, and run multi-six-figure careers. It didn't happen overnight and it wasn't easy, but it is attainable and so worth it. And we're ready to teach you our strategies. Covering a variety of topics from both our firsthand experiences and reputable guest speakers' insights crucial for business growth, we're exploring the art of marketing within your niche, discussing effective ways to attract and retain clients, leverage social media, and build a strong online presence, and so much more. We're not shying away from talking through the challenges of the wedding industry and offering realistic solutions to navigate them successfully. We emphasize the importance of networking, establishing meaningful relationships with clients, and continuously honing one's craft to stand out in a competitive market. This is the We Got You podcast.
Hello and good morning, We Got You podcast. We're excited to be on here for another week, another episode. And today is honestly I feel like I say this every episode, a really important one, but this one I feel like is really close to the heart for a lot of us, which goes around the feelings of wanting to quit. And entrepreneurship is no easy feat. Emma and I have both been through our ups and downs. And so we really just wanted to get on an episode today and talk about those feelings. If you're feeling like you're ready to quit, if you're feeling really discouraged, if you are not feeling like you're where you want to be in your business, if you're feeling like maybe this isn't the right avenue for you, whatever feelings are going through your head, we just really want to jump on here and be really honest with you guys on, things that we have felt in the past, our own experiences, how we've combated them. And also maybe if you're in the back of your head, maybe telling yourself some things, maybe we can combat that and help you get out of that and realize, maybe those are little lies you're telling yourself, or maybe those aren't really true, and really just encourage you to stay the course. Or if this really is not something that you're wanting to do, just kind of share what entrepreneurship kind of looks like, the experience and everything, so that you can make that educated decision instead of an emotional decision. So we just jump in today and just talk about, again, those feelings of wanting to quit and recognizing why you're feeling that way. I think that's honestly the first thing that you should be doing. If you are not feeling good with where you're at, not feeling great with your business, whatever that looks like, just really, I want you guys to sit and think, why am I feeling this way? What is starting these feelings? What are starting these thoughts in my head? Is it social media? Is it looking at social media? Is this a financial thing? Is this the relationships that I have that are entrepreneurs? Is this relationships that are not entrepreneurs? What really is making you feel the way that you are feeling right now?
Yeah. And I think there obviously are so many different factors that can play into it. I think one of the main things is right now, maybe you're feeling especially with this industry and just life right now, you might be feeling like you want to quit because you're scared, because there's this fear, there's this scarcity of bookings right now. There's this you're seeing your peers do all of these things and you're wondering like, why am I not getting bookings? Why am I not getting inquiries? There's this, right? Like maybe in your head you want to quit because you're scared deep down. And obviously, like I know like your ego doesn't want to let you say that, but you are, right? Like you're scared. If this is you and this is how you're feeling, but yet you still have a passion for what you're doing, then we really encourage you not to quit. We really encourage you that if you're scared and you have fear of booking or fear of not getting where you want to be, honestly, the first thing that you should recognize is that this is out of fear and this is not because you've lost a passion, right? Like that's something we'll talk about in a second. But like if you're scared, honestly, what you need to do right now is genuinely put your head down and truly dive into your business. Truly look at every element of your branding, your marketing, your networking, like every detail, your website, your social media. Where is there a disconnect? Where is there a disconnect? Where's the branding gap, right? Like where are you going wrong in terms of marketing to your ideal clients or networking or being at events, right? Like we could go down a rabbit hole of all the things, but if you're feeling scared, then it's so important for you to recognize that you need to take time for your business right now. It's easy to not want to do that, right? And just stay and be scared and be overwhelmed. Like, dude, we have been at that in those situations in our business, right?
Absolutely.
But it's not going to benefit you. It's not going to help you. Quitting is, again, you're going to regret it one day because that was your passion. That was what you love to do. And so this is genuinely, if you're feeling this way, this is the time to dig deep. And we can even talk through some of those options. Like once we kind of talk through like recognizing why you want to quit, Hannah and I will go through some options of what we find are really beneficial for you if you're feeling this way.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like this is the one that like resonates most with myself in my journey because I feel like there's a lot of times and a lot of seasons where I felt fearful of getting the right bookings, or maybe I need to change my pricing, or maybe I need to do something different, or maybe I need to take these bookings that I typically wouldn't take because, well, I need to do something. And it's really hard because in entrepreneurship, it's not all go, go, go 24/7. It's a lot of go, 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 busy season, we're hustling, and then slow season. And it's more of that period of like, okay, we're waiting for those, like the next wedding season to come, and you're doing a lot of back end stuff in your business, but you're not shooting a wedding every single weekend of the year throughout the whole year. And so like, I know for myself, when I'm not in wedding season, that causes me to stress and be fearful of like, okay, but somebody else is shooting a wedding in January. Like, what am I doing not shooting a wedding in January? So I feel like this is the one that I relate to the most. But at the same time, when you dig down and realize like the fear of not being able to do something or the fear of not being able to book something doesn't mean you're not good at your job. Doesn't mean you're not good at what you're doing. It has absolutely no correlation to how good you are at photography or videography. And so recognizing that. Yeah. And then the other reason too, if you're thinking, you might want to quit, another reason that Em and I were kind of talking about might be because you're really exhausted or tired of the hustle, which is so relatable. And I feel like after doing this for several years, I have felt that. And another great word for that is burnout, is feeling burnt out because you're exhausted. You're like, I'm doing so much. I became an entrepreneur so I could have that freedom in my schedule. So I could have financial freedom. So I could have, freedom to have time off. And then oftentimes you're not necessarily feeling that because you recognize if I keep hustling, I can keep growing my business. So then you're like almost battling between this. I want this time freedom and I want to keep growing my business. And you're like, wow, this is so much easier to grow and scale a business when you're constantly working at it than say a 9-to-5. And so then you put in all that time to grow and scale your business. And then you recognize that you've lost that whole other half of time off, of free time, of downtime. And it is exhausting. And we've done several episodes on burnout and what that can lead to, how you can prevent it, things to do while you are in burnout that you should definitely go back and listen to if that is something that you're currently experiencing. And like Emma said, we'll even in this episode go through things to help if that maybe is a spot that you're at right now.
Yeah. And also too, like give yourself a pat on the back because entrepreneurship is not for everyone. The fact that you've made it this far and that you've come this far, like running a business is absolutely incredible. And like even same to like Hannah and myself, like the fact that we've come this far is amazing, right? Like there are seasons when you feel exhausted. There are seasons when you feel tired of hustling. Right now, you might in specific, especially because like it could be both. It could be like, I'm scared. I'm not going to get any bookings. I have so many fears. I'm never going to reach the goals that I want to. And I'm just tired of trying to fight to get there. right? Like
Yes.
you can feel all of those emotions. Like I felt that at points in my business. Absolutely. And in these moments where I recognize like, okay, like I'm exhausted, I realize like, okay, I need to delegate more. Okay, I need to figure out a better business structure where maybe I outsource more, I grow my team more, I charge more, right? Like so that I can free up my time, because the older we get, the more we value our personal time. Or maybe, maybe you're 20 and you value it just as much. But I
At
certainly
that
like when
point, you
I
are ahead of the game, and that is
right.
amazing.
Right. And like, I know for me, like when I started my business, I was like, I'm going to give it everything I have. And that was like my life, and I lived and I breathed it, and I sacrificed a lot for that. But then even at 24 years old, like I'm sitting here and I'm like, my personal time, my life outside of work is so precious. My life isn't consumed and should not be consumed by my work. And so it is so important that you do things, that you reorganize your business. It doesn't mean you're doomed if you're facing burnout. There are things that you can do to get out of it. But there are things that you can do to help, right?
Yeah,
Then
definitely.
we've got the final one that Hannah and I were kind of talking about, and that was really just the loss of passion. This we're not really going to spend too much time on, because this is like such a Debbie Downer, and obviously like we don't want to think about that for you. But if you do feel in your heart, and like again, this is like really recognizing like why you might want to be quitting right now. If you're feeling like it's not due to fear and it's not due to exhaustion, and you're genuinely just like ready to put in the towel, like if you know deep down in your heart that's like where you're feeling, then there's nothing that we can do to fight you on that. Like if you feel like your time is you're ready to, go out and do something different, there is nothing wrong with that. And like, do not also feel discouraged in a sense of like you gave up. Again, coming from the right reasons, you don't want to regret this. But also if you're like, I'm ready to be done, really take this as like, look at how far you've come. Truly. I even think if I quit my business today, like which I'm not, but only having 5 years in the industry, I'm like, oh my gosh, like just looking back at that part of my life will always be something so special. And so as sad as it is to talk about, if that's truly the reason why you want to quit, don't be too hard on yourself. You're going to know in your heart if it's time.
Yeah, and that's where it's like Em and I wanted this episode to be realistic. We don't want it to be like, don't worry, you can do absolutely anything and like everything's fine. Because like at the same time, there might be legit reasons why you're like, no, this isn't serving me anymore. And so realistically, we want to walk with you through that and see like what that looks like. And if it's something where you're like, oh, I've just like lost my creativity, like I feel like I had a passion, I just don't know where that went now. There's absolutely ways to rekindle that creativity and restart. I don't know, like restart, find those things that respark your love for what you're doing. Be creative, going to workshops, working with new people, reaching out, networking more, going to new events, stuff like that, where it's like, maybe those are things that can rekindle that for you. But if you are like, this isn't serving me right now and I'm okay with that, then that's okay. Like Emma said, it doesn't mean that you quit, because anybody starting entrepreneurship knows it is not easy, and anyone who's been going through it knows that it is very different, and it is very hard in senses. It's beautiful in other senses, but at the same time, you do have to sacrifice some to get some, and it is a very long-term endeavor. This isn't going to happen over a year or two. And so if you're like, no, I think I got into this wanting it to be a hobby, and then I was like, whoa, this can grow, but then you're like, I'm not ready, I don't want this to be more than a hobby, or I don't want to do this anymore at all, that's also okay. And like Emma said earlier, where it's like, give yourself a pat on the back for like making it this far. Even if you started last month, great job. Seriously, pat yourself on the back. Every single step of running your own business is work. It's different work. It looks different. So if you've been doing this for 10 years, 5 years, 1 year, whatever that is, like really, truly, you guys are doing an amazing job. And a lot of people don't make it past the first couple of months. And so again, like each milestone is a big deal. And so we really kind of wanted to dive into if you're feeling any of these things, if you're feeling scared, exhausted, burnt out, tired, loss of passion, whatever those feelings are, where you're like, I don't know if this is right for me and I'm wanting to quit. We really wanted to walk through a few things to do before quitting. First of all, finding the support, finding what support you have, whether that is entrepreneurs and an entrepreneur community, networking with other creatives, other videographers, photographers, planners, florists, whatever that looks like, and also finding your support in the community around you, where that's family and friends. I will say this so many times and I'm blue in the face. I literally could not run my business without my family and friends. A lot of my friends have become photographers and second shoot for me, work with me. We are bounce ideas off each other. My husband has always been so supportive, and there's no way that I feel guilty being gone on weekends or weddings, and he has never once made me feel guilty about it. And that support from him means the world. Like finding those people around you that are not necessarily related in the business community, and then intentionally finding people that are, who can understand and share with you and feel those same things with you and recognize them, and okay, I'm not alone, which means other entrepreneurs are still doing this, feeling this way. I'm either going to get through this, or I'm going to find a way to work it out.
Right. And I think too, like, it's so beneficial to have people inside the wedding industry and outside the wedding industry. It's so beneficial to have people outside the wedding industry, because there's so many times where like maybe I just want to rant or get advice from someone who's just not doing it, who's just not in it, that I feel like is just such unbiased advice that I can just talk to. Or if I just want to have a conversation that's not work related and feel creatively energized there, it's so good to have a support system outside of it. But just as importantly, is it to have a community that is inside the wedding industry? I would not be here without Hannah. I wouldn't be here without my friend Danny, who's in the wedding industry. I wouldn't be here without my friend Megan, who's in the wedding industry. Like, I truly wouldn't be here, like, without being able to have so many conversations that are business related, to be able to like ask for advice or just like literally anything. Sometimes like we're trauma bonded from some experiences that we had, right? Like you go through so much, but it's so beneficial to have two different communities, and also too, like stepping out of your local market. Like sometimes it can be really easy to compare. Like I'll be the first to say, like here in LA, there's a lot of insanely talented creatives here. Sometimes I need to have a community that is outside of it, right? That I'm not sitting here comparing myself to the producers and directors and writers here in LA. I'm able to like expand and chat with people who are across the country, across the world. And obviously like tangibly, it's like go to networking events, right? Like go to workshops, go to style shoots, find places where you can be, dinner parties, right? Local wedding chapters that you can be a part of. Every single time I go to a wedding related event that is like not an actual wedding, like a networking event, anytime that I go to a real networking event, I feel so re-energized. I don't think one time I've not felt re-energized. Like there's something in me that is like, this was great. I just love getting to be with people. And that could be you too. And so like really finding that support system and being able to talk to people. Do not just boil all this in alone. Like we're meant to go through this together as humans. And it's important that you have people that you can really rely on and you can really talk to about, your decisions.
Yeah, well, and like that feeling that you were talking about just feeling like re-energized and like even some may say like re-hopeful about your business, like that is literally what you need when you're feeling like you're wanting to quit. And I feel like a lot of people think, oh, I'm wanting to quit. Like you just feel like it's this dark spiral and you're like, no, like not a lot's going to help, or like, but then to go to that event, I have to spend money. It is worth it. It is absolutely worth it to go and put yourself first in your business and see what you can do to help yourself continue to grow it, because you didn't just start this for no reason. You didn't just start it because you had a camera. You invested in this. You've invested time and money into it. And so likely the way to re-energize yourself or be hopeful is to probably invest time or money or energy into it again in another avenue that kind of re-sparks that for you.
Are you tired of taking on the entire editing workload yourself? Are you tired of staring at a screen for days on end, feeling burnt out and creatively exhausted? Maybe you've been searching for an editing company for months now, but you can't seem to find one that can truly mimic the high-end quality of films you're looking for to deliver to your clients. If this sounds like you, we couldn't be more excited to introduce to you our friends at Wonderlust Videos. Wonderlust Videos is a post-production service for wedding filmmakers with over 10 years of experience and has served over 700 clients to date. Their full team specializes in seamless and high-quality editing for wedding filmmakers who need to take the workload off their shoulders and trust someone to create a high-end edit. As you know, we're incredibly picky about the partners we work with and the tools and resources we recommend to other photographers and filmmakers. With that being said, I myself, Emma, have gone through the process firsthand to use Wonderlust videos myself and vet their entire process so that I could recommend them to you today with confidence. Wonderlust videos can edit your highlight films, social media teasers, doc edits, and so much more. Their team edits on Premiere Pro, Final Cut Pro, DaVinci Resolve, so it's time to get the help you need and start outsourcing today. You can start with Wonderlust videos right now at wonderlust-videos.com and use our code WGY10 for 10% off your first project.
Does your current client delivery system feel unexciting, limiting, and boring? Maybe you're still using good old Google Drive or Dropbox to deliver your clients' wedding films. If the answer to these is yes, it's time to level up your video delivery experience with VidFlow. VidFlow is a pay-per-use online platform that allows you to deliver fully branded websites for each of your clients. While being incredibly affordable, VidFlow is accessible on mobile, desktop, and smart TVs with included long-term hosting so that your clients can truly enjoy the entire experience when receiving their wedding films. When I first found VidFlow, it was such an easy switch that truly benefited my business substantially. With so many incredible features and options for customization and personalization, VidFlow continues to wow my clients time and time again. You can find VidFlow on Instagram or visit their website at vidflow.co. Use our code WGY20 for 20% off a yearly premium membership and level up your client experience today with VidFlow.
One other thing that you can even do right now while you're sitting down on your phone is go onto your social media, whether that is TikTok, if that's what you're on all the time, if that is Instagram, whatever social media you guys are on all the time. I would say for myself, it's definitely Instagram. Changing who you're following and even muting some creatives. I absolutely love to follow creatives who I'm like, that is what I want my work to look like. They inspire me so much. But in those seasons where I'm like, oh my God, I don't feel like I'm doing enough, I see those creatives doing a lot. And so I'll just mute them for a couple months because I love their work and I never don't want to follow them. But sometimes I don't need to see all the things that they're doing because I know what that'll do in my own head. And then I follow a lot of accounts that have nothing to do with wedding photography. If you guys were listening to Biba's episode, she was on here a couple months ago. Wow, time flies by fast. But she was talking about how the majority of the people she follows have nothing to do with weddings. No creatives or anything. She said she maybe follows a handful of like actual entrepreneurs and the rest is literally just people that she loves or inspired by or maybe influencers and stuff who have nothing to do with the wedding industry. But the fun thing is that you can still draw creativity from those people. And so if you're like, okay, but then what's the point? Like I'm not being inspired. I'm not constantly seeing things that I'm like, oh, I want to go achieve that. You can still be inspired by things that are not wedding photos and wedding videos. And in fact, sometimes those are the best places to draw the creativity from because that is such a wholesome place to draw it from where you are truly creating something different and beautiful. And so like really thinking about that, I know some friends who they will mute a whole bunch of people that they know that they're comparing themselves to, and they will follow a whole bunch of meme accounts or dog accounts or influencers who do clothing hauls. That's like my, like, what is it called? Guilty pleasure is clothing hauls, like Abercrombie clothing hauls, H&M clothing hauls. And I'm like, oh, I could see her all day, Amazon clothing hauls. Yeah. And like, that makes me feel good. And so like sprinkling in influencers who are doing clothing hauls and random stuff like that, where you're like, okay, it's not just all business. Business is not consuming my life, but there's life outside of this. And there are also things that like can make me feel okay while I'm in the midst of it.
That is so true. And I think even just like for me too, it's like I'm really intentional about the time I spend on my Instagram. I use a lot of that time to network with planners. But I really couldn't tell you honestly, like the last time I like watched someone's full wedding film on Instagram, honestly, because like it's so easy to get in your head. Yeah. And that's okay. Like we're not sitting here to telling you to be like, delete all these followers and someone like goes and unfollows and causes drama. And then they're like, well, Emma and Hannah told us to. But like muting is a really great way to just not have to sit there and compare yourself because we all do it. It's really easy to get in your head and social media just plays such a big role in our life and it shouldn't, but it does. So like that is something that can really help you. Another thing too is just recognizing that like entrepreneurship is this long-term game right? So like, don't be discouraged by the short term. Also recognizing that like these feelings can come in waves and that's okay. Like I really encourage you, like if you're feeling these feelings, like you're ready to quit, like don't give up on the first try. Like don't give up right then and there. Like give it some more time. Like I have a friend who was like, you know what? Like I'm just not really thrilled with the wedding industry anymore, right? Went to a workshop, was like, I'm feeling re-energized. I really like this. I think I'm gonna do it. And then again, like later on in time was like, you know, like I feel like I did lose it, you know? And it was like, okay, well, you put in that effort to like really recognize like, okay, this isn't something that I like really care to do anymore. Like you've put in the effort to do it. You didn't just give up on the first try, right? And so recognize like this is a long-term thing. This isn't short-term and your feelings are going to come in waves and that's okay. Like don't give up right off the bat and just quit. Don't make an irrational decision.
Yeah, and honestly, I kind of think this is an important thing to note as well. While this is, yes, a wedding photographer and videographer podcast, if you are trying wedding photography and videography, trying either or, and you're like, I'm just not, you're in those feelings that we've been talking about all day, maybe wedding photography or videography is not for you. And I don't say that as in entrepreneurship is not for you, but for videography, maybe that looks like short films. Maybe that looks like documentaries, you know, maybe that looks like working with influencers and brands. For photography, maybe that's looking like brand deals. Maybe that's looking like being a travel influencer. You know, maybe that's looking like elopements or couple sessions or boudoirs or births. You know, there's so many other things. And that's the beautiful thing about entrepreneurship being this like long endeavor is it is not niched down into this is exactly what you have to do. Like you have so much time to be able to decide what you want to do. And so if something's not serving you before like just quitting at all, think of, okay, what are other things that might excite me or things I haven't before and you're like, I don't even know if they'd excite me. Try it. Go to a workshop, set up a style shoot, like just test it out, reach out to a brand. Because here's the thing, what can hurt with you trying it for the first time? Then you know if it is something that you're like, okay, actually, this is making me feel really good. Or you're like, that was great, but like not me. And that's totally okay. And Emma and I have been there before where we've done sessions and shoots and stuff where we're like, okay, that's like maybe not the way I want to go. And we've both been drawn to those big weddings and working with that kind of clientele. And so it's important because we gave ourselves time to figure out that that's what we wanted to do. And I remember being in a time where I'm like, I'm not feeling too great about my business. I'm feeling really burnt out. And at that time I was doing a lot of like elopements and a lot of adventure sessions and a lot of engagement sessions. And I just felt like I was constantly out doing things like away from home. And that wasn't what I was drawn to. And so being able to shift that and see what shifts in your business can you make to really lean somewhere where you feel really passionate.
I so agree. And I love even just talking about the difference in niches because like that can be a jump too that you make that is like going to help you significantly. Last thing to mention is mentorships. This is genuinely like if you're feeling like you want to quit, but it's not because you've lost a passion. It's because you're scared of bookings, you're exhausted, you're tired of hustling. This is a great time to take a mentorship. Obviously, Hannah and I both offer mentorships. We'd love to dive into your business with you, but this isn't just a pitch for the two of us. Like this is genuinely like figure out what you believe is going wrong in your business and find someone who you really look up to who holds that knowledge, right? Like maybe you're sitting here today and you're going, okay, I'm really struggling creating films that just like bring me to life, that like I'm struggling with creativity. I'm struggling with editing, right? Book a mentorship with someone who you feel you're so creatively inspired by that is just like absolutely excellent at editing wedding films that you can sit with or photo, right? If you're sitting here today and you're like, gosh, I'm really struggling with business, right? Like chat with someone who's really knowledgeable about business that you can meet with. Or maybe it's networking, or maybe like it could be about anything. Like find the person who creatively inspires you, who is knowledgeable about those things. It's like, okay, well, don't come to me for a mentorship for color grading because I cannot teach you about color grading, but I surely can teach you about business, right? And so like finding those people, mentorships are so valuable. And like I've booked and I know the same for Hannah, like we have booked countless mentorships with creators, with entrepreneurs from all over. Like, I genuinely do not credit where I am today to any specific person, not even 3, not even 4. There are so many people around my community that I would credit like anything that I've done to, because I've gone to so many different people for help. And I think there is so much benefit in booking a mentorship and reaching out to people to help re-energize you, help you restructure your business, and try to get out of that mindset of the scarcity of bookings or feeling exhausted.
Absolutely. And if you think about it, if you're like, okay, I'm ready to quit, and then we do a deeper dive and you're like, I'm ready to quit because I have a fear of not booking enough, or, that scarcity mindset. If you dig even deeper than that, chances are you're trying to jump markets and it's not working, and that's what's building that fear and that scarcity mindset of nobody's going to book me. Maybe it's that market jump. Maybe you're switching niches and you're like, oh, nobody's booking me. That's what's building that fear. Mentorships are so incredible for, especially when you're jumping a market or you're changing a niche or you're doing something different in your business, because chances are if you're doing something different, you've never done it before, so you don't know what to do, and finding someone that you can look up to that can kind of help you with the blueprint of what they did and how they made it work will help propel your business, and that will help lessen that fear and that scarcity mindset of, okay, so now that I know the steps to work my way into that market, now I can start getting those clients or getting those bookings or getting what I'm wanting from where I'm at right now. So really, I feel like this is such like a deep dive into how you're feeling and digging into why you feel that way specifically. And honestly, I would recommend, if anybody is feeling like, I'm ready to quit, I'm really discouraged, I'm burnt out, XYZ, whatever you're feeling, think of why are you feeling that way? And then even try to take it a step further. And why are you feeling that way? What is it specifically? What has changed in your business? What has changed in your personal life? What has changed to make you now feel this way? Is it the seasons? Is it something that's happening outside of work? Is it something with work? Is it financial? What does that look like? And then from there, hopefully, we've been able to give you guys and share with you guys what has worked for us and things that we have done throughout our businesses that have really kind of pulled us out of there. But if you guys have any other questions, our Facebook group is always open. You can post anonymously if it's something that you're not comfortable putting your name to and being that vulnerable with. But we want you guys to feel like that's a safe spot where you can share, this is how I'm feeling. What have people done that have worked? Reach out for people for mentorships. Reach out to your community, whether that's entrepreneurs or not. But really recognize that this is not an end-all be-all, and that we have all felt that way, and here we are 6 years later. So hopefully it gives you a little bit of encouragement and hope that through all of this, like Emma was saying, even the ups and downs are intentional, and that's what makes your business. And it's a really beautiful way of figuring it out, so that in the future, your ups and downs your downs are a little less down. And it's just, that balance, you're just slowly riding the wave and you're figuring it out as you go. So if there's anything you guys need, let us know in the Facebook group. Our DMs are always open. But in the meantime, we will see you guys next week on the We Got You podcast. Thanks for listening to another episode of the We Got You podcast. We would absolutely love it if you could take an extra minute to leave us a review and let us know what you think. DM us a screenshot of it and we'll send you a coffee on us. If you want access to an exclusive community, rad freebies, giveaways, and wedding referrals, then join our Facebook group today. Also, if you aren't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel and make sure that you're following along on Instagram at WeGotYou_podcast to stay up to date. We'll see you next week on the We Got You podcast.